Switching gears now to the latest coming in from the United States. Tariffs, the war in Gaza and Russia, immigration crackdown, the big beautiful bill. US President Donald Trump likes to take the center stage on just about every issue, but how his public perception is changing after almost 6 months in office is the immediate question. The latest polls showing President Trump is losing on his much touted public support. According to the Morning Consult poll, Trump's overall approval rating has slumped from 52% when he took office to 47% in July. Another poll showing Trump's approval ratings have come down to 48%. YouGov poll also showing a downward trend on Trump's approval rating from 49.9% in January to 44.3% in the month of July. Now, the overall trajectory is showing that Trump is gradually losing ground. The inflation, the immigration crackdown, or even the peace promise. Trump's support base is shrinking. But all is not lost for the American president, of course, as his approval ratings on key issues remain on the green side. On immigration and national security, he maintains the approval rating of 50 and 51% respectively. On the economy, Americans are divided equally on both sides. 46% of Americans approving his performance on economy, while the same percentage of people are not happy with what he has done so far. The line is rather thin when it comes to foreign policy and trade. Trump has 46% approval rating on both the issues. 43% people not approving, or rather disapproving, of his performance on foreign policy. 44% people not happy with what he has done on the trade front. US President using executive orders extensively to push his policies through without congressional approval. But this has also landed him in a legal soup across the board. From immigration crackdown to birthright citizenship, Trump's decisions are being challenged in court across the country. In fact, in the latest, a coalition of 24 states and the District of Columbia sued the Trump administration for cutting the over $6.8 billion of education funding. Washington withheld the funding few weeks before the start of the school year. On the other hand, Trump has also got the green light from the Supreme Court to proceed with dismantling the education department. The White House planning to fire more than 1,000 workers in the effort to cut government spending. The first 6 months in Trump's second term are defined with the tariff war, immigration crackdown, legal challenges to his executive orders, and the efforts to broker peace in wars that he promised to end within 24 hours. Let's go straight across now to our correspondent, Susan Tehrani, who's with us and has been tracking those developments very closely. Susan, a lot to unpack there when it comes to the factors governing Donald Trump's approval rating there. A key front there being the issue of economy, showing just how divided Americans really are. Also, interestingly, we're looking at the issue of the wars. That's been a constant question as to what extent Americans actually really care about what's happening beyond America's borders.
Yeah, those are two very valid points. And, the big, beautiful bill, that's one aspect of it that was questioned in these polls. And then when it comes to wars and foreign policy, something that stood out for me was because these polls have been conducted recently was America's strikes against Iranian nuclear facilities. That's where, when respondents were asked about foreign policy, is where Trump got the lowest points from his MAGA base, because generally they were just concerned that America would get dragged in a prolonged war, and they have more isolationist tendencies, but also among Democrats and independents who just did not approve of America getting involved in what they saw as Israel's war. And, Molly, I found it very interesting that when it came to immigration, while the majority of Americans fully back President Trump's border security policies, now that illegal border crossings are almost to zero, now Americans are concerned about the manner that more ICE raids are being carried out. And the recent raids in workplaces or going to occupational places or separating families, or even bringing, those families who have been here for a very long time and their children who are considered dreamers to be kicked out. That's where they were concerned and where Trump lost the majority of his support in these recent polls. So nonetheless, they want illegal immigration to stop, which to a great extent, the border security got very high points. But Americans are also compassionate. They don't want to see notably those who have been here and working for so long and part of the community to be treated the way that they have recently been treated by the ICE raids. Just one last thing, I thought it was really interesting in the YouGov Yahoo poll that you pointed out, the issue of the Epstein files really dragged down his popularity. Well, in the Morning Consult, the day that he said we're not going to talk about this anymore, he gained popularity by 1 or 2 points. The YouGov poll really shows that the majority of Americans just simply believe there is more than meets the eyes to these Epstein files.
All right, and that, of course, we discussed earlier on, just 24 hours ago, about how that row refuses to die down and does have far-reaching political implications as well. We're leaving it there for the moment, though, Susan. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.